Hello Airsofters, Usjtf 6 here. I made a video a week ago talking about disrespect in the airsoft community and also talking a little bit about negativity. I decided to take that video down and make another video talking about the same thing so we can kind of address the issues that we were talking about before and clarify some of those issues so we get a better mutual understanding about what is actually being said. It seemed like there was a lot of confusion towards the talking points, and also it actually seemed like the message was getting a little bit lost. So what I've decided to do is just bring that up in a new video. Basically what I want to talk about today, I had the honor of watching a very good YouTube video from Mr. Honor, and you can see the link to that video right here. It's about 30 minutes, but it addresses the factors of negativity on the internet. And also addresses the psychological factors, what makes people negative. The biggest thing I could take away from that to tell you guys today is, in airsoft, negativity runs rampant in our ranks. You know, it doesn't matter what team you're on or what area you're from or anything like that. There's always a negative person out there ready to jump all up on your stuff and try to cause problems. What I learned from Mr. Honor's video is that we don't need to buy into that negativity. We don't need to feed that negativity, and the best thing we can do is distance ourselves from that negativity. And we're going to talk about that here later on at the end of the video. The biggest thing I want to talk about tonight is I want to make a few clarification points to the video I made before. Now, we talked about many factors in airsoft that a lot of guys are disrespected with, and negative commentary is based off of. The biggest thing that I've seen is that guys just sling off at the mouth and just say whatever they want to say, and they don't care nor respect anyone else. I brought up the point of gear for a distinctive point. There was a gentleman that made a reply video to my video. I thank you for your video. He stated, well, it sounds like you're anti-gear, and you know you don't really like people buying real gear. No, that's not the point to that whole conversation at all. I think you failed to understand what I said in that conversation. What I stated is there's a lot of people out there that don't have the money to buy that gear. There's a lot of people that are not financially stable enough to get that equipment. When you are privileged and have the money and have everything going right for you to buy that gear, and you make fun of someone else for having inferior gear, and you troll them on the internet, and you talk down to them, and you talk bad to them, and you disrespect them, that really makes you look like a very bad person. Not only that, you don't have the right to do that, honestly. And a lot of guys say, well, it's just the internet. No, that's not the case at all. Human dignity and human respect is something that we should all have. The internet is not an excuse to have dignity or respect for others, or to not have dignity and respect for others. And we should all understand that. And if we actually did, like some of our brethren do in Europe and Asia with their airsoft programs, I think the United States program with airsoft, and what I mean by program is the incorporation as a whole, would be far superior. So, with the gear discussion, that's what I was basically stating. And I wanted to clarify that fact so you understand. So just because you wear top quality gear and you've got the patch put in the right place for your MilSim impression kit and all that stuff, doesn't give you the right to make fun of anybody else that either by financial circumstances, means, ways, or by other things in their life cannot have the opportunity to get that stuff. That's what I was addressing. Along the lines of the veterans, this gentleman also replied and stated, well, we don't need to respect veterans, you know. That's something that we choose to do. That is correct. You do choose to support veterans, or you choose not to. It's your right to do so. However, is that ethically or morally right? Probably not, and here's why. You know, every day this country is threatened by other countries around the world, believe it or not, in overt and covert ways. There's always enemies at the gates, ready, able, and willing to hurt this country. And the only people who stand ready at those gates to guard America's freedom is the current U.S. military members actually serving now. And the guys who have done it in the past are the veterans. The guys who have stood at those gates, who have stood ready to protect, freedom's guardian from attack. And the biggest thing we need to think about when we think about veterans is, a lot of people don't realize the sacrifices those guys actually make. When you go overseas, you're away from your family for years at a time, or 1 year or 9 months, or regardless. You got kids, wives, husbands, families, friends. They sacrifice all that to go overseas and fight for the country and do, in some cases, what they need to do to preserve the freedoms and rights we have back home. I think that's a worthy cause for anyone to respect those men and women. Now, have I ever seen anybody disrespected on the outside in public? Very, very rarely. And most of it you'll see on the news. You got Westboro Baptist people with the signs, and you got some hippie groups, going out there calling people baby killers and stuff like that. That's their right to do as American citizens, because they have those rights guaranteed and protected by the U.S. military members who stand to do so. So it's just something to think about. Yes, you do have the right to disrespect veterans, but is it morally and ethically right? Probably not. Along those lines, you talked about the tents. Well, there's just guys sitting overseas in those tents. Well, that falls back to exactly what I just talked about. Because not only are they sitting in those tents away from their families and their loved ones, the military works in a system. And in that system, there's multiple little systems that work together to ensure that the warfighter has the tools, the means, and the material to accomplish their missions. So to say that a supply sergeant or a cook or a mechanic isn't as valuable as a warfighter on the ground would be totally out of balance compared to what the real world actually implies with being in the military. Because everyone in the military is one team, one fight. We all rely on each other to do our jobs in a professional manner in order to be successful with the mission, task, or objective. And if one part of that cog fails, then the entire mission is in danger. So that's something to think about with the veteran side of things. I do want to bring up a unique point about respect of others in airsoft. There's a lot of guys that do a lot of different things. We play different styles of gameplay. We have different styles of teams. Some guys like milsim more than tac sim. Some guys like tac sim more than milsim. Some guys just like to shoot it up in the backyard. It's all respectable. And what we need to do as airsofters is stop worrying about our particular realm of the area of operation, so to say, in airsoft, and focus on bridging those gaps. Understanding that it's all one team, one fight, and we're in this sport together. This sport's so fragile already, and there isn't very many of us in the United States. It does us no good to have quarrels, fights, and bickering with each other. If we just took the time to sit down with the people we disagree with, mend our differences, bridge the gaps a little bit, mend the fences. Think about what this sport would be in the United States. It would be tremendous. It would be 10 times better than what it is right now. It's worth the time to do so. It's worth the time to take out of our day to, get on there and actually do the right thing. So in closing, I hope this message brings forth a factor of change in some of you guys' perceptions and the way you think about the sport. And I honestly hope that it actually brings you to a realization of light that the sport does not revolve around anyone. It doesn't revolve around our group. It doesn't revolve around any other groups or anything like that. We're all in this together. Regardless of differences, play types, styles, teams, or anything like that, we all play in the same sport and we're all here to have fun. So let's remember that. Let's have some respect for each other and let's strive on and do the right thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight. Godspeed and God bless. Usjtf 6 signing out.